Street Fighter 6's second closed beta test recently wrapped up, and I loved every second of it. After not getting accepted into the last closed beta test and being forced to watch from the sidelines as everyone had fun from the outside, and laughing at people who were selling their beta codes for hundreds of dollars, I popped off hard after seeing the email that I got accepted into the second test this past weekend. After putting a significant amount of time into it, I can safely say that not only is Street Fighter 6 looking like it has everything I wanted out of it, but it's easily one of my most anticipated games of next year. You would think the smart thing to do after getting into a limited timed beta would immediately be going and getting in as many matches as possible. So, in true fashion, I instead spent the first 30 minutes making the most horrid abomination that the character creator would allow my mind to conjure up. And while in the full game you'll be able to customize your character freely, I was stuck with this guy for the rest of the beta, and I could not be more proud of how he turned out, and cannot wait for the insanity that will be using him in the story mode during the full release. And I will not be taking any criticism of my aesthetic design decisions. But while this abomination may look horrendous, the actual game itself looks fantastic. Capcom's RE engine is doing this series wonders, and after Street Fighter V's overall art direction felt a little confused, it's so good to see this game have a unified style. Fighting games having a visual cool factor is so important for the genre, and this game absolutely nails it, from the dynamic graffiti splashes that come out from characters on powerful hits, to the insane supers that have so much visual flair. The animations help sell how meaty and impactful hits are, which make them feel so good to land even after you've seen them for hundreds of matches. This is one of those titles where you can see how good it looks through video, but seeing it in motion for yourself absolutely hits different. What brings this all together though is absolutely the characters themselves, and each one not only felt great to play, but felt fresh from both the newcomers and returning characters as well. Veterans like Ryu, Ken, and Chun-Li all have new moves that make their tried and true gameplay archetypes feel like they're advancing and evolving. While other characters like Kimberly and Jamie have new mechanics that make them interesting both to play as and fight against.
Here we go.
The character that I ended up enjoying the most in my time with the beta though was surprisingly Luke. I haven't felt too much towards his character before playing the game, given how Capcom is trying to make him the new poster boy for the series. I mean, he's straight up the main one on the box art, which could look a little bit better. You could say I was expecting to feel lukewarm about him as a character. And while he's a relatively simple character that doesn't have any crazy in-depth gimmicks or an X factor to keep track of like others, his oppressive nature and burst options that could lead to crazy high damage ended up making me enjoy his playstyle a lot. But virtually every character has a level of sauce to them, and I can definitely feel that this isn't going to be a game where you'd want to stick to just one character because of that. While I wanted to save grinding out combos and setups in training mode for when the actual game comes out, I came across plenty of people who are finding awesome ways to put each character's kits to use. And a part of what made that possible was Street Fighter 6's new drive gauge system that made the game feel much more turbulent in the best way possible. The drive gauge can be used to perform a variety of different actions, from parries to a burst option that allows you to rush forward and immediately follow up with a different option. While each of these mechanics are universal amongst the cast, the way characters can apply them with their kits is dramatically different between player to player. Drive Impact, for example, is a powerful move that can armor through attacks and absolutely decimate people in the corner, but can also be used as a reactive measure for avoiding getting hit by it yourself. But Drive Impact can also be countered with other methods surrounding the drive gauge, such as by parrying or using EX moves that can break through its armor, and the game emphasizes the weight of these reactive turnarounds with slowdown and graffiti splashes that make everything feel so much more impactful. The drive gauge gives powerful options to each character, but every action has an adequate response to it that players can take, which creates a unique back and forth feel to the gameplay where each player reacts to each other's decisions. Managing the drive gauge also adds a risk versus reward element to the game as well, given that the gauge can run out. This leads to interesting decision-making situations where players could risk it all by throwing out a couple of really powerful hits that may take the game at the cost of entering an exhaust state where they can't use any of their drive options and are susceptible to both chip damage and getting stunned. Overall, the drive system leads to situations that can instantly turn the tide of the match and helps make the game feel so much more exciting than Street Fighter V's V-trigger system did. The quality of life and new features implemented into the multiplayer itself were great, and shows that we've finally gotten to a point where features like crossplay and rollback have become standard, making it so that it's easier than ever before for a game's community to play with each other online. Even outside of that though, Street Fighter 6's Battle Hub has a ton of features that make it as easy as possible for you to get into matches the way that you want to. If you want to just hop into a queue and wait for games as they come, that option is easily available. Or if you want to go to a specific setup and spectate matches while joining a queue to play a specific person, you can do that too. After dealing with the insane nonsense that has been some other recent fighting game lobbies, finding matches so easily in Street Fighter 6 was a much welcome breath of fresh air. But even within this space, there are a ton of great personalization options, from having individual button layouts for each individual character, to having personalized match found screens that show up for the other person that you're playing against for each character as well. One aspect that I really appreciated though was that in ranked mode, the game gives you a rank for each individual character. So if you want to start learning a new character, you don't have to sacrifice a pre-existing rank just to get good with them. While in this beta, I only really got around to playing ranked and casual matches, part of why I'm so excited for the full release is that unlike almost every other fighting game that's come out recently where the beta may as well have just been the full game, there's so much more to look forward to in Street Fighter 6. From the new campaign with an explorable world and customizable characters that actually gives a fighting game meaningful single-player content for once, to the variety of different match options as well that make the game much more wacky for fun. Between these new features, cross-play, and a simpler control method for those not used to fighting games, it feels like Street Fighter 6 is trying to cast as wide of a net as possible to truly make this the game that puts Street Fighter back into a bigger spotlight than just the FGC. It has been a long while since Capcom has really hit hard with any of their fighting game franchises, and I'm extremely excited that so far, Street Fighter 6 is looking like it's doing everything I wanted for it and more. If you got the chance to play the beta, what did you think of it? And if you didn't get in, what are you most excited to try? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe too. Now, if you don't mind me, I'm going to get back to feverishly waiting for June 2nd to come.